UFC event on Saturday, which was back at the Apex, which it's always tough when you're going back and forth from let's say the San Francisco card, the DAZN boxing card, and then you go to the Apex and it's just so quiet. But I'm not going to belabor that point. Overall, some pretty solid results. I would say, at least for me, that the star of the night was Khalil Rountree Jr. Tough spot for Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith takes this fight on 2 weeks' notice. Khalil Rountree has been on a roll. He has won his last 5 fights in a row. The majority of them, except for one stoppage. He is getting better. He is getting more confident. He is getting stronger. He continues to fight at the Apex. And I would love to see him graduate from that stage. But honestly, after the fight, this is a guy who doesn't usually call out opponents. He's very respectful. He's sort of like a throwback martial artist. After the fight, he called out Alex Pereira. Now, I don't think that they would do that next, but I'm here to say that I would 1,000% sign up for that fight next. I tweeted on Saturday, we've lost the Alexander Rakic-Jan Blachowicz fight, which was supposed to take place on January 20th in Toronto. Blachowicz got injured. Rakic has called out Yuri Prochaska. I'm told that there is some interest in that, but Yuri not available in January. So do they save Rakic for like a March and do it then? He's missed a considerable amount of time after the knee injury. Sounds like he would be interested in saying, but in waiting. But I said, if they really wanted to stay on that Toronto card, why not Khalil Rountree versus Alexander Rakic? Don't hate that, but if I'm being honest, that's a big step up for Khalil, and it's a fine step up. I don't mind putting him in the title picture right now. Now I know that's a crazy thing. He's currently number 11. I get that. That's going to change come tomorrow. I think they come out with the rankings. But here's the truth, and this is something that isn't talked about enough. Alex Pereira's story is one of the great stories in the history of the UFC. The fact that he's now a 2-division champion is unbelievable. That he was able to do that to Izzy and then move over to a new weight class, incredible. But the best thing that Alex Pereira had going for him coming into the UFC after a long kickboxing career is that he had the history with Izzy that fast-tracked him to the title. He didn't take a traditional route to the belt. And even when he changed weight classes, he only had to win one fight before getting a title shot. Now, he probably benefited from the fact that there aren't that many great light heavyweights right now. Why can't a Khalil Rountree, who has been in the UFC for quite some time, who has paid his dues, who has won his last 5 fights in a row, who has been in the UFC, by the way, since The Ultimate Fighter season 23 in 2016, so he's approaching 8 years in the company, why can't he be in that title picture? The other guys who are, available at light heavyweight, Jamal Hill probably going to be out still for a long time unless he's got some sort of Aaron Rodgers injury to his Achilles that, he's just going to be back right away. I just don't see that happening right now. Blachowicz injured. Yuri just had the title shot. Ankalaev has the fight against Johnny Walker on January 13th, so the number 1 contender could emerge from there. Nikita Krylov, Anthony Smith just lost, Volkan Ozdemir, Ryan Spann, and then Khalil Rountree. Am I crazy? Or Khalil Rountree versus Alex Pereira would be an incredible fight. It would be outstanding. I mean, those two guys, their kicks, their punches, their power, their speed, their chins, they're incredible. I would sign up for that fight. If the UFC announced today, we have decided to book Khalil Rountree versus Alex Pereira right now, not only would I not say this is undeserved, because I don't think it is undeserved, based on who's getting title shots in the UFC now, based on people getting fast-tracked and whatnot. And I would also say that's an incredible title fight. And I don't think anyone's really getting passed over. I really don't.
It's a great fight. There's only one problem with it.
Tell me.
Khalil Rountree has not... By the way, I think it's Khalil. I saw a tweet. Khalil Rountree. I say Khalil, so I have to correct myself. Apologies.
What did I say? Did I say Khalil?
Khalil. I think everybody says Khalil. I say Khalil, so I
Khalil.
I'm locked in now.
Apologies.
Khalil. It's a great fight. It's an amazing fight. The problem is Khalil has not been in front of people. He's been fighting on these smaller shows. He's a co-main event of an Apex show.
Yeah.
He's not even been, in an opening spot on a pay-per-view. So you have to have the right circumstances. As an example, Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler headlines UFC 300. Underneath that, you can have Alex Pereira versus Khalil Rountree as a co-main event because Conor's going to trump any title fight, and you don't have to worry about weight classes and who's ahead of who on the bout order. Conor's always going to be first, and now you can have that as a co-main, which is amazing, which is solid. I don't think Khalil at this moment has the juice to headline a pay-per-view opposite Alex. Right? He just has not been in front of people enough. It will feel weird. It would serve better, in my opinion, as a perfect co-main to another title fight or a Conor fight or something like that. That's the only problem I foresee. From a stylistic standpoint, it's absolutely amazing because those dudes are incredible.
It's better than any other option right now.
At light heavyweight, it's a wasteland. It's still, honestly, all due respect to all the fighters in that division, including Alex Pereira, the champion, it feels like John Jones' division still. It has not left that era of feeling like it's in his shadow because nobody's kind of really established it. It just does not feel strong, and it feels like the same contenders kind of knocking each other off. The draws, this, that, the other. It seemed like maybe Jamal Hill could have been the one to establish the order, and then all of a sudden he's injured, and it got all messy. I am all for it. I just think it's going to be tough to sell as a pay-per-view headliner, so it needs a perfect scenario.
True. I also feel like as a co-main, I just don't feel like this is a fight that the UFC is going to make. As a title shot right now coming off of the
I don't think so either. I don't think so either.
I just really don't think it's
But I think that the body of work is there.
Oh yeah.
And
Anthony Smith might have gotten a title shot off this win just on the story that he's got going with Alex. They're back and forth. I could see Alex kind of calling for it. So why not Khalil? Why not the other side of this?
He's won 5 in a row, and we said this on Wednesday. He's like Mr. Apex. We have a mutual friend named Peter Rosenberg who is a huge Khalil Rountree fan. It's I think because he's friends with his girlfriend Mia Kang, and so anytime I only hear from Peter once every 4 or 5 months, and that's a couple hours before a Rountree fight. I usually get a text about it. And we were talking on Saturday about him and why he is always stuck on these Apex cards. And I hypothesized, I don't know the answer to this question. I would love to ask him this question one day. He has talked a lot about mental health and anxiety and nerves. And I wonder if he's one of those fighters, because others have said this as well, if perhaps he prefers to be on the Apex card because there's just less buzz, hoopla, fans, nonsense. It's just pure, right? You go out there, you do your thing. You don't have to deal with all the other stuff. I wonder if that is maybe more his speed. That's the only justification that I could think of, and I certainly wouldn't knock him if that is the justification, because otherwise, he's an incredibly entertaining fighter. He's unbelievable
with a great story.
With
that
a great
interview
story
that he did with you on this show was incredible.
He's emotional. He's
thoughtful.
He's thoughtful. He makes you want to root for him. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He makes you want to root for him. And I was looking at his Instagram yesterday, I think it was, and it's all like him. It's thoughtful. It's classy, et cetera, et cetera. And someone on his Instagram in the comments wrote that most fighters' comment section are just like a cesspool. And for whatever reason, and I didn't go too deep, but I did look at a few posts. And this person said, for some reason yours is so pure and positive. And probably that has something to do with what you put out into the world and it comes back to you. But this is a guy who I think has earned this. At the very least, him versus, if Johnny Walker wins on January 13th, cool. If Magomed Ankalaev wins, cool. He did get the title shot last year. Remember, how subpar that pay-per-view was going into the final one of the year after the Yuri injury. This one obviously is infinitely better. But I just think that they have something really special on their hands here, and I hope they get behind him. I really do. And it was so unique to hear him call out Alex because he never calls anyone out.
Yeah, you've kind of touched on it. He's not into the pageantry of MMA, right? It's no frills. He just wants to fight him, test himself, improve himself. He's not into the call-outs. He's not into the extra stuff that's involved in it. But to be honest, that's kind of what gets you to that next level, right? This is where it starts. And so him making that call-out, I think, is a step in that direction. I think we're all on the same page, though. He's at most one away, right? If he has another performance where he goes out there on a pay-per-view and just absolutely starches another top contender, how could he be denied?
I feel like next has to be top 5. This was his highest ranked opponent to date, and Anthony Smith being ranked 8. And I mean, there's options for him. Like, I mean, Alexander Rakic is without a fight now. If he fought the winner of Walker Ankalaev, I feel like that's more fitting. And then if he wins that, then it's like time for.
Does he beat Rakic?
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to pick against him at this point. The way that he looks. I mean, the biggest thing about him too is how violent he is. Like, I'll never forget that Carl Roberson performance, how violent he is, but like he also has this patience about him. Like, he rocked Anthony Smith bad in the second round, but he stayed patient with it and then does it again in the third. And then even during that finishing sequence, he's like kind of patient, going about his business, puts up the fist, looks at the ref, and it gets called. But like,
oh, I love that.
It's tough to pick against him.
That was so great that he didn't throw those extra punches.
He knew. We all knew.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be very curious to see what they would line a Rountree Rakic fight.
I liked what I saw from him on Saturday. It was a much more measured performance. The gas tank was questionable, right? In the performance against Dustin Jacoby, it was a real clear drop off in the third round. He was faded. This was a much more measured, even performance. Third round, still composed, got it done against Anthony Smith. I think it'd be a good fight. I do wonder how his takedown defense is gonna hold up against Rakic, because I think Rakic is like one of the more well-rounded guys we've got in this division, and capable of striking with anybody, capable of grappling with anybody. It will come down to that. I would dare say that I think a matchup with Pereira is more favorable to him, right? We've talked about this
100%.
how many times when it comes to Pereira and Izzy as well, right? There's just certain times you're getting this striker versus striker battle. Here, and he said in I believe it was in one of the post-fight interviews, like, I'm not going to shoot for a takedown against Alex, so let's just scrap. That would be fun for us. But I do wonder against a guy like Rakic or even a guy like Ankalaev, how's he going to look? That might be the tougher fights for him, to be completely honest.
It's kind of what I want to see, though.
Yeah, to test him.
Is that it for Anthony Smith?
No.
So many people calling for his retirement.
What? Yeah, you're saying like ever.
Period.
That's his last
I don't think so. He's coming off a win.
Shot.
He took this fight on short notice.
Yeah.
He got absolutely blasted by Ryan Spann, came back and won that fight, dug deep, toughed it out. Also, by the way, I think a lot of people were thinking this was about to be a human sacrifice. The first 2 rounds were close. Now, Don't get me wrong. Like, Khalil was hitting the harder shots. He was doing more damage, no doubt about it. I scored the rounds for him. But Anthony Smith wasn't not hanging in there. He was taking the shots and firing back. Way premature, in my opinion, for this. Like, certainly, if Anthony decides that he wants to walk away, he's had an amazing career. He's been in this game a long, long time. I would have no issue with it. But at the same time, I'm not here concerned about Anthony Smith. Like, that was fine against a guy who's hitting his stride right now and has power, and hit him with that power. So yeah,
it's just these short notice fights. Like, you have to take them with a grain of salt.
Yeah,
to a degree. He has lost 3 of 4. He has taken a lot of damage over the last few years, but he's still winning fights in the division. He's coming off a win where he showed incredible heart. Yes. As you said, he was banged up against Ryan Spann in Singapore. Look, maybe he's not in the title picture, and he certainly deserves some time off now. What concerned me about this was Khalil's going like this. It's short notice.
Yeah.
Anthony's one of those guys who just adores fighting. And so sometimes those guys need to kind of be saved from themselves and told, like, hey, maybe this isn't the best decision. And by the way, very good chance that he was told that and still did it anyway, because he just wants to fight. He just wants to be active. He wants to be in the gym. He wants to be fighting for something, training for something as well. But as I've said, I think he's one of the best analysts. I don't think the guys that you see on the desk, they serve the role well. But he is the only one on that desk that I'm saying he's in the wrong spot. The UFC has done an incredible job. It is so hard to take active athletes and turn them into analysts. Obviously, other sports, it's hard to do it because you're in the midst of a season. But even like in boxing, you don't really see it all that often. And when you do see it, they're not that good. The UFC, for whatever reason, and they've got great producers, they've been able to pinpoint who these stars are. Even a guy like Paul Felder, who isn't a title contender, they recognize this is a guy who would be great, and they were right. How many times have they had a lemon? How many times have they made a mistake in terms of the people that they put in there? So I mean, they're brilliant at it, really, at developing and pinpointing talent. He's the one guy where I see him and I say, how is this guy not in the booth? And maybe they know something that I don't, based on what I just said. But I feel like he would be he's so analytical. He's so smart. He loves fighting. He watches everything. He does his research. He's well spoken. He obviously has the resume to back up the decision to put him there. He's not just some schlub off the street. I would love to see him get more reps like that. And like I said, maybe he's at the tail end. Maybe he's on the back nine. Maybe this is the final, couple innings of his career. But I don't think he's done by any stretch. There are certainly guys, especially at 205, in the 15 to 20 range that he could have a couple fights with to get back on track and then see where things go. The one thing that does concern me is the damage. He's taking a lot of hits.
And he's been in this game a very long time.
37-19 is his pro record. 37-19. You don't see those kinds of records in MMA. What is that? I do too. That's 56. That's 56 pro fights. 56 freaking pro fights. So I feel for him, and it's hard to see him go down like that. But that was always going. I mean, wasn't he like a huge dog going into this?
Dog.
Yeah.
On short notice, I mean, look, he looked fine to me. Like, it was just a loss. That's all I took away from that. Was like, gave it an effort, short notice. Khalil is a savage on the rise. That's what we got. That was what we got.
Also, what you guys said, like how much he loves fighting, how much he's around the game and everything. I would be shocked if that was his last fight ever.
Yeah, there's levels.
There's no way.
There's levels that he can compete at. And maybe it's not in the UFC. Maybe it's somewhere else. Maybe it's boxing. Maybe it's BKFC. Maybe it's slap fighting, which he seems to enjoy. Like, whatever it is, I'm sure there's somewhere we can find competitive matchups for Anthony Smith, and he can continue to do that. So, yeah, I'm not... 2 weeks ago, where Alex Pereira is calling him out. Like, there's no way all of a sudden it's just done. It just not off that performance. Not in my
especially not off of a short notice against a guy like that.
Yeah.
That was, to me, the biggest story of that fight night. The second biggest, obviously, was the main event, Song Yadong defeating Chris Gutierrez. Maybe not the most exciting fight of all time, but Song Yadong is definitely a player at 135. Now 2 wins in a row. After the loss to Corey Sandhagen, the win over Ricky Simone was supremely impressive. And this is a guy with wins over Marlon Moraes and Casey Kenny, Marlon Vera, close one, Alejandro Perez, Julio Arce. He is very, very good. And they asked him about the Petr Yan tweet. That is the one for me. Like, this one feels like pretty easy matchmaking, right? Petr Yan versus Song Yadong. I don't think he should bypass a Corey Sandhagen. I mean, he has a loss to Corey Sandhagen, but in the title picture, we just found out both of them kind of announced it on their own. Merab versus Henry Cejudo in February at that pay-per-view in Anaheim, which is tremendous. I love that fight. I definitely feel like Merab deserves a title shot and shouldn't have to take a fight like this. It's kind of crazy, but if he is going to remain active, then all right, a win over Henry Cejudo should finally grant him that title shot, I would think. Petr Yan versus Song Yadong. We like this?
My only question back to you would be, are you willing to lose Figueiredo versus Yan?
That's what I want. I still want Figgy Yan.
I would not be willing to lose it for that fight. I would want Figgy versus Yan.
So here's the thing. Figgy wins. I know there was an old tweet that was brought up from 2 years ago. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I know Yan was all over the place. I mean, he was doing face-offs with Conor McGregor at some random show in Russia. He has not said anything about Figueiredo, right?
I want it even more so because of that.
So, but he did. I mean, unless he was yawning about something completely different, he was.
Come on. I mean, come on. It matched up with the fight, the timing, everything.
No,
we know it.
Clearly addressing. The crazy thing is, isn't Russia like 7 hours ahead or 6 hours ahead?
Man, you got to grind if you want to watch the Apex. Man.
So this dude was actually, you know
what?
How
do you know? Maybe he's on a VPN somewhere.
But you know what? This was the 10 p.m. main card start.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So it was actually like 7 in the morning over there.
Yeah. So he woke up.
Current time.
He was still tired. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he was
Russia 8 hours ahead. He was freaking. He's got young kids. So no, okay, that wasn't weird.
It was 9 a.m. He was tired after a big night with McGregor.
Yeah. How random was that?
I'm fine with it. Don't get me wrong. I think Song Yadong deserves it. I think he is a top contender, but I would rather see.
I mean, honestly, there's like really no one else for him. I mean, Cheeto's in the title. O'Malley obviously fighting Cheeto. Aljo's future is uncertain at 135. Yeah, Merab and Henry, and then there's Corey, who he's already lost to. It's slim pickings.
Yeah.
Somebody fight Umar Nurmagomedov.
Song versus Umar, I'm down.
He is it's crazy that Umar is in the mix with these dudes. He's 14 right now. He's 14, but yet you only hear him attached to Corey Sandhagen.
To top guys.
How are
Well, to be fair,
Simone and Jonathan Martinez tied at 12?
Yeah.
You don't see ties too often. We need Martinez versus Simone to see who's really 12. 12 versus 12.
That's a big fight.
Yeah, big fight. Big fight in the Bantamweight division.
What about Dominic Cruz versus Song Yadong?
Love it. No.
Just Song.
Alpha male versus Dominic Cruz, part 2. Let's run it.
I'd be down with that, but would Song take it? I mean, he's looking for the Yan fight.
I'll be honest.
Dominic Cruz is a bigger fight than Yan.
I was going to say, it probably does more for him,
Yeah, but
honestly.
I'm thinking if Song's looking at the rankings.
It probably does more.
There's a bit of a queue right now, right? There's obviously Cheeto fighting in March, Marab and Henry. Corey's out there who he lost to. So I don't think he's thinking, give me title shot next. The big question is, what's the bigger fight, or what's the fight that you would want more? Is it Yan Figgy or Yan Song? And it sounds like you guys prefer Yan
Figgy, no doubt.
Yeah, and
no doubt.
also
I feel like that's a fight we've wanted for a while.
But I feel like if you send out the Yan emoji, and I just feel like you're asking for it.
Yan sending out the Yan emoji.
Yeah, Petr Yan.
This is Dana White and Don Davis. Like he's acknowledging him.
He's the co-leader.
Yeah,
Burgundy.
In the race for a Petr Yan fight, it seems like he's a co-leader.
Yo, I like the shit talking from Song.
Yes,
A little
I
shit.
enjoyed
You
that.
said that about his last fight and all
your fight
that.
was shit,
Yeah. I liked it. A little
I did like it.
personality there. All right, go ahead.
It seems like Petr Yan's in the driver's seat, though. That's kind of where we're at, right? Like it seems
he's
like
got fights to make.
they're coming for him, and he gets to kind of choose it. He's going to get to pick who he wants.
Can we see the Petr Yan Conor McGregor stare down? I was
we have
scrolling through Twitter. Was this on Saturday or Friday?
This is Saturday. Yeah, this was man.
Oh my God.
What a trip this was.
And I see this on the timeline. I'm like, what is happening over here?
I love how Conor is like as serious as it gets, and like Jan's kind of got a smirk on his face the entire time. But like Conor looks
like he's about to fight.
Legit angry. Yeah. And he starts saying something baby. I listened to it back like 8 times. I never got exactly what he was
like
saying.
A cage. But then you see the love. Islam Makhachev was there too.
Yeah. And it was like they were across the ring from each other. That one video where it's
I wonder how much they get paid to just show up and do that.
I don't know.
What a life.
I don't know, man.
You like Conor could never fight again and get paid to show up to all these random fight nights.
Just face off, get a picture with their belt, and that's that.
Every one of these fight nights that Kaposa is tweeting about on a Thursday afternoon.
Yes. Oh, God, it's so good.
Uzbekistan Fighting Challenge 14. They would all pay Conor at least, $250,000 just to show up and do that?
Yeah, he just shows up. Because, I think it was IBA, Night of Champions or something.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't have heard of it if it wasn't for Yan.
Yeah, Kaposa was live tweeting that.
Yeah, I got another asset here. It's a little breaking news asset.
Oh, what do we got?
We said Day of Reckoning poster of the year. Eddie Hearn just dropped another one.
What?
Yeah.
Because he was watching?
Look at my screen here, yeah.
Is it Christmas related?
No,
Wow.
A little comic book action.
Yo.
They're killing it.
They're going hard on this promo, man. I mean, that's a poster right there.
They are killing it.
Better be with the brain out.
Oh, I like that. They've done a great job for a card that was put together on just days' notice, now weeks. Man, that's going to be one of the stories to watch. Not only in boxing, you saw I don't even know what the titles are, but a member of the Saudi Arabia fund, they were at PFL taking a picture, I think, with Peter Murray in the cage. Qatar is going to get involved, I'm told, perhaps as soon as February. And obviously the UAE has been heavily involved as well. So there's like a bit of a race here to who could be the top.
Yeah. I disrespected Better Be there. That's actually Bivol with the brain out.
Yeah, of course. Better Be fighting in January in Quebec City.
Sorry about
that. So Khalil Rountree beat Anthony Smith. Nasrat Haqparast beat Jamie Malarkey. Tim Elliott with a win. Unfortunately, Iron Turtle, we could talk more about him.
Oh, God, yeah. We need more time. We have a guest coming up. We need more time. That's a big breakdown for the robbery.
Sure. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it very much. Hey, if you like this video, give us the old thumbs up. Subscribe as well. You could get many more of these videos on the channel, so please do that. We would love you forever if you did so.